Is it a Western? Is it a drama? Is it a ghost story? That's what we're here to find out. Let's do it. Okay, everybody, I'm sure everybody here remembers Unforgiven. I'm sure everybody here remembers Pale Rider. But does everybody remember 1973's High Plains Drifter? One of the great Westerns of all time. Well, that's what we're here to look at today. But before we go any further, as you know, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
A drifter came riding out of the West. You know him as Clint Eastwood. The citizens of Lago didn't know him at all.
What did you say your name was again?
I didn't.
Fear was in their greeting. Murder was in their minds.
We were talking about hiring a gunfighter.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that fella there. Now, who is he? Where's he coming from?
You don't want to get shot. You don't want your shops or your houses burned. You don't want your women touched. You don't want anything to happen. Except you're afraid to do anything about it.
That stranger's got everybody in this town at each other's throats.
One man against one town. Not bad odds.
About time this town has a new sheriff.
I'm the sheriff.
And the mayor.
I'm the mayor.
Any objections?
You shot my ear off! I'll kill every man in Lago!
You know what you are. You're an animal.
Well, you have a way of bringing that out.
They didn't know him when he drifted into town. Now they'll never forget him.
Who are you?
Okay, everybody, you're going to see a whole lot of this name popping up. This was directed by the man himself, Clint Eastwood. You know the man himself has directed a lot of shit. We're talking, he's done stuff like The Gauntlet, which is one of my favorites and I've already reviewed. Bronco Billy and Pale Rider and Firefox and, of course, the amazing outlaw Josie Wales and Heartbreak Ridge and $1 Million Baby, Mystic River, and American Sniper, and Flags of Our Fathers, and a movie that I just watched again the other night with my wife, Gran Torino. Oh my fucking God. Anyway, his list of directing credits, even if he was never an actor, would make him a legend, all in and of itself. But as we know, he was an actor too. And speaking of, let's get going to the cast. Okay, everybody, there is a shit ton of people that need to be mentioned in this motion picture, maybe more than any other movie I've ever reviewed. So, I'm going to go really quick, get to the point, get to this list, and get a move on. Of course, starring as the stranger, the man himself, Clint Eastwood. And we all know the stuff he's been in. We're talking this. We're talking he was in Where Eagles Dare, and Dirty Harry, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and The Gauntlet, and Escape from Alcatraz, and Every Which Way But Loose, and Thunderbolt, and Lightfoot, and Pale Rider, and Unforgiven, and Where Eagles Dare, and The Eiger Sanction, and Callie's Heroes, and about 400 other things that are, if I take more time, they're going to pop into my skull. So, anyway, legendary career. Massive career. Massive career. The man himself, Clint Eastwood. Okay, playing Stacey Bridges. My man, my man. Huh. Geoffrey Lewis. That's all I got to say. You've seen him pop up in numerous Eastwood flicks before. Great actor, great actor, great actor. One of the great, great ones that just never had superstar status, but he is awesome. Anyway, he was in this. He was in Every Which Way But Loose. He was in Double Impact. He was in The Amazing Salem's Lot. And The Lawnmower Man. And Night of the Comet. Lust in the Dust. I, the Jury. Bronco Billy. A Man Called Horse. The Devil's Rejects. That's all I got to say. And he's actually the father of fucking Juliette Lewis, is an amazing actress herself. Bam! Okay, playing the mayor, Stefan Gierasch. Now, he was in stuff, some names that you're going to remember. He was in stuff like What Up, Doc, and Carrie, and Jeremiah Johnson, and Dave, and Silver Streak, and The Hustler, and Jack the Bear, and a cool little forgotten flick from way, way, way long ago called The Champ, which never gets brought up. It was actually a pretty good movie. Anyway, whatever. Let's keep going. Playing Mr. Belding with Ted Hartley. Now, Ted Hartley had an okay career. I mean, he was in stuff like Ice Station Zebra and Murderer's Row and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of TV shows like Mannix and Ironside. So, he was around, you know? One of those faces in the same, one of those faces in the game. Okay, playing Dave Drake is Mitchell Ryan. Now, ooh, boy, you're going to remember him automatically from his great part in Lethal Weapon. But he's been in other things too, folks. We're talking he was in Liar Liar and Magnum Force and Judge Dredd and Grosse Point Blank and a whole fuckload of television work. I mean, huge amount of television work. So, been around, you see his face, might not always recognize him at first because in this he's got the mustache, whatever, doesn't matter. Been in a million things. Playing Mordecai was Billy Curtis. Billy Curtis, he was in some shit. We're talking he was in stuff like The Incredible Shrinking Man and Tarzan the Ape Man and Terror of Tiny Town and Eating Raoul. So, I mean, he had a career there. He was out and he was about. He was distinctive in stature, had a good career, is what it is. Okay, playing Sarah Belding was Verna Bloom. Hey, she was around. She was around. She even popped up in one of the greatest movies of all times. We're talking Animal House. She was in stuff like The Last Temptation of Christ and After Hours and Honky Tonk Man, again with Mr. Eastwood, and Medium Cool. So, been around, had a good career, was in some stuff. You might not always recognize her face. She's very stripped down in this, very tanned up, whatever, but she was in a bunch of other shit. It's just the way it goes. Ding, Callie Travers, the town party girl, was Mariana Hill. Now, a lot of TV work. Anyway, she was in stuff like Bonanza and Gunsmoke and Dr. Kildare, if you remember that, and Burke's Law, and Outer Limits, in the wild, 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 wild West way back in the day. So, hey man, she had a good career, she worked, got a lot of shit in there, a lot of stuff on her resume. Let's keep moving. Playing the preacher was Robert Donner. Again, distinctive dude, was in some shit. We're talking he was in stuff like, you know, The Undefeated, and Rio Lobo, and Under the Rainbow, with Chevy Chase and Carrie fucking Fisher. Come on. Anyway, and he did a whole bunch of TV work on top of that. So that is what that is. Now the next four names I'm going to fly through really quick because they are people who just were part of the Eastwood family. Kind of like Geoffrey Lewis was. But these guys popped up in numerous of his movies. Okay, playing Dan Carlin is Dan Vadis. Bam, man, he popped up in a bunch of Eastwood shit. We're talking he was in stuff like 10 Gladiators and Rebel Gladiators and Hercules the Invincible and Trying for the 10 Gladiators. But he was also in Bronco Billy, and he also played a biker in The Gauntlet. So, big dude, jacked up dude, was in a lot of Gladiator flicks and some Eastwood flicks too. Woohoo! Okay, everybody, playing Cole Carlin. Wow, what I love, man, I love this shit, is Anthony James. Recently just passed, but was in some legendary shit. Let's roll. We're talking about he was in stuff like Unforgiven and Blue Thunder and Burnt Offerings and The Teacher and tons of TV work like Simon and Simon and Buck Rogers and a zillion other TV shows. Really distinctive face, very angry looks, whatever. You know him, you've seen him. He's been around in a million things. Boom! May he rest in peace. Let's keep kicking it. Playing the sheriff was Walter Barnes. Come on, the motherfucker was Tank Murdoch in Every Which Way But Loose. What more do you need to know than that? Anyway, he was in other things too. He was in Bronco Billy, and Pete's Dragon, and The Traveling Executioner. So, man, he was one of Eastwood's boys, which makes him one of our boys. And that's all I got to say about that. Hey, playing the freight wagon operator was John Quade. Motherfuckers, we're talking Every Which Way But Loose. We're talking Every Which Way You Can. We're talking the outlaw Josie Wales. We're talking even popped up in fucking La Bamba. Whether it was this or being the leader of the Black Widows. Legendary just for that. Playing the barber was William O'Connell. Come on, another member of the Black Widows. But let's not digress. He was in stuff like The Outlaw Josie Wales and Every Which Way But Loose, and Every Which Way You Can, and Paint Your Wagon, and Big Bad Fucking Mama. All right. Let's get to the story. Okay, everybody, the story is as such. There's this little town called Lago. And all of a sudden, a mysterious stranger shows up one day. He's not there but 12 minutes. He has a rough encounter with one of the local women, and he kills 3 men. Woo-hoo! Is the way it goes. Anyway, the people in Lago, they got a problem. You see, there's these 3 boys that are going to be getting out of jail, and they're going to be really mad at the people in Lago. So, they had protection until Clint Eastwood killed them all when he rolled into town, and now they want to offer him a job, to be their guardian angel, to be their protector, to be the one who rescues them from these 3 evil men getting out of prison. You see, the town has a real problem with being spineless and underhanded, and there's a lot of shitty people in it, just throwing it out there. But they also, on top of all those little attributes, have a terrible secret. You see, they kind of know those 3 guys that are going to be getting out of jail. They kind of framed those 3 guys that are getting out of jail, and they kind of use those 3 guys that are getting out of jail to do some unjust harm on a Sheriff Duncan, who was the town sheriff before all things went to hell. See, Sheriff Duncan, or Marshal Duncan as I should say, he found out something about that town. Something they were trying to keep hidden. So maybe, just maybe, they hired those 3 boys to keep their little secret hidden. Anyway, they offer this new stranger anything he wants. Anything he wants. Anything he wants. As long as he will protect the town from these 3 little individuals getting out of the territorial prison they're held up in. He takes them up on their offer, and soon enough, they wish they never made it. I'm not going to get too much more into it beyond that. You'll probably figure out more from the trailer and from what I'm about to talk about in the summation. But that's where we need to go. That's what we need to hit on. And that's where we need to be at. For now. Alright, everybody, let's get to what makes this motion picture work. First off, I want to point out that this is the first Western that Clint Eastwood starred in that he also directed. And when you look at an Eastwood motion picture, an Eastwood Western, he did something that I love. He made people look like they were from the Old West. A lot of movies up until that point, you get the idea. You know what I mean? The cowboys were walking around, they had nicely pleated pants, they had nicely starched white shirts. It doesn't look like that in reality, folks. These were hard people growing up in hard times and harsh environments. You know, when you see them in a Eastwood flick, everybody's got a super welded on tan. They've all got days worth of growth. Their hair looks like shit. Their clothes look tattered. That is a look and a style that I love because it's reflective of what it was really like in the Old West. So even if he takes some liberties with the gunfights or whatever happens after that, the look is real. The vibe is real. The feel is real. And that's half the journey right there. Now, you have a motion picture where the cast is so good in this thing. I don't mean that they're all right. I mean this movie, top to bottom, there's not a weak link in this flick. This motion picture has a cast that delivers on every level for everybody in it, on every performance. It is beyond fucking great. And you have a story that maybe, as far as I know, might have been one of the first, at least the first that I was aware of, that mixed the supernatural with the Western. I mean, I remember the first time I seen this flick, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know you could do that with a Western. The original idea with this Western, maybe I'm giving you too much, so plug your ears, was that it was supposed to be Marshal Duncan's brother who came back and seeked vengeance on the town. But Eastwood got a hold of it and he said, wouldn't it be a little bit more interesting if I made this a little bit more supernatural? Maybe this guy is the reincarnation of Jim Duncan. And that placed this motion picture in a whole different fucking field than anything else going on at the time. It was just amazing. It was eerie. The soundtrack was eerie. It was dark. It was really dark. And it was with enough twisted small bits of humor to just make it perfect. And that's another thing. The character, the stranger, you can see that he is taking unrepentant joy in just making the lives of every single character in this motion picture hell. I mean, he's just torturing people. I mean, he is psychologically torturing them, emotionally torturing them, sometimes physically torturing them. He is just seeking vengeance on this child. And you get enough of it, of why he's doing it, in the flashback scenes where you're like, oh, I get what this is about. I get where this is going. This is retribution. This is retaliation. And to watch Eastwood do it with such expert glee, and to see him do it with such expert delivery. This motion picture is summed up when the Mrs. Belding character looks at him and says, I knew you were cruel, but I never knew just how cruel you could be. And he looks at her and he says, you still don't. What the fuck more do you need than that? Okay, everybody, get out there, check out Pale Rider, enjoy yourselves, and as always, be good, stay out of trouble, take care of your fellow man, and above all else, under no circumstances, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.